a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for April 20th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, two titans of the industry are combining their powers as Atari acquires Bubsy in gaming's biggest deal ever, and really the only way to truly celebrate 420. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you
Blaze
doing?
it up, everyone. Let's get blazed. Let's do it. It's a national holiday. Everyone stop bickering on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Stop subtweeting and start blazing it up, folks. I know it's not 420 yet, as in like the time, but it passed already in the AM, so let's get it.
It's always 420 somewhere, Jan. That's what we say.
There we go. It'll help your glaucoma.
Yeah.
Glaucoma.
Yeah, it's eye stuff. It's eye stuff,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
I know that
was
my daughter who has eye stuff's like, oh, she could get glaucoma. I'm like, well, shit, I don't want that. Should I
What's
blaze
a
her up? It's
sciatica?
420. I'm not blazing up my kid. Everybody chill out.
Chill out.
Yeah. So get out the hookahs, get out the blunts,
Yeah.
the bongs, the zongs.
Here's a question. Yeah, the bongs and the zongies, baby. If I take a bunch of sliced turkey and then I put it through a meat grinder, would that technically be ground turkey?
Yes. Technically, by law, I think it would be taxed as ground turkey.
There you go, folks. It's the hard-hitting video game questions. I'm the video game expert today, baby.
Shit. All right, everyone, stand back. Look out. He's gonna get us into it. Did you when you were like in high school or whatever? Was 420 a big deal? I don't know, because I definitely was where I was from.
I was too much of a goody two shoes, but there were definitely some red eyes amongst some of the seniors,
Right.
and they were not on the swim team, and it was not chlorine getting in their eyes. I'll tell you that much, Grubb.
Fair enough. I remember we'd have I want to call it CAD, but it was just drafting, just doing AutoCAD. I had class for some reason, and that was in high school. And the guy that taught that was just like, all right, yeah, it's 420, so who wants to go get donuts? And everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's like, just go out the window and go get us all donuts. And so I was like, I did not go. I did that before at a different time, but this time I did not do it the first time. And so someone just like, yeah, all right. And we all collected money and took the order, and someone went out the window, got us all donuts, and came back through the window. And that's how you celebrate 420 in Westerville, South Ohio. That's the real way to make it happen.
It's tradition.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. All right, this is already a mess, but let's get into more of a mess. And by explaining what we do here, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will ground up the turkeys for you. If you were watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Resident Evil 4 tops charts in a quiet month. This is the NPD, which is no longer the NPD report, Circana for March 2023. I'm not going to get used to that. Circana?
Why? NPD is such a fun, easy acronym.
NPD. It's got there's a musicality.
You down with NPD? Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, exactly. This comes from Rachel Kaiser over at GamesBeat. Resident Evil 4 remains a sales powerhouse, even in remake form, according to industry tracking firm Circana, formerly known as the NPD Group. According to its latest report, Capcom's new version of the incredibly popular title has topped the sales chart in March in the United States. The PlayStation 5 also continues to dominate in hardware sales, which are still up compared with 2022. Overall, the video game industry made let's see, I'm just going to read it from Matt Piscatella. Premium game spending fell year on year, driven by a tough year ago comparable March 2022, which featured 8 new releases ranked among the top 16 best sellers of the month, as well as the strong second month of Elden Ring sales, said Circana analyst Matt Piscatella. Resident Evil 4 was the best-selling game of March 2023, instantly becoming the third best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. Hogwarts Legacy ranked second in March and remained the best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. While March was not as explosive as February in terms of hardware sales, they've still increased since this time last year. This is the second highest video game hardware spend for a March month in U.S. history, said Piscatella, trailing only the $680 million reached in March 2021. The PlayStation 5 was the best-selling platform in March in both dollars and units. We'll get to more of that in a second here with PlayStation 5. The top-selling game was Resident Evil 4, Hogwarts Legacy number 2, MLB The Show, another new game. That was number 3. The WWE 2K23, that was also new. No physical sales, but it got up to number 7, which I think is pretty impressive for a game like that doesn't have any digital sales attached to it. Although I bet that game sells probably primarily physical. But beyond that, not a lot of new games on the chart, a lot of familiar faces. The Last of Us Part 1 was number 5 after being number 6 last month. So it just continues to roll thanks to the power of that TV show. So you think that's probably what it is?
Yeah, is it the power of the TV show? Is this including Steam sales as well, or is it not?
Right, it probably does at this point. March, that sounds right. I'm like trying to place it.
March 21st, I want to say.
That sounds right. Because I'm like, the travel really threw me off, but it was definitely before we were traveling, so it had to be like in late March. That sounds right. Yeah. So that this includes that as well. So that probably gave it a boost on top of everything else. But the show was like also really hitting its stride that month. So
totally,
I think both those things combined really made it happen. One of the other maybe surprising things here is that Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga went from 41 to 20 on here. It's like that game just keeps popping up. It did go on sale on Switch, and it seemed like that really pushed it.
I was trying to think, was it like Star Wars Celebration that might have pushed the numbers?
Was just in April, right? Because I think we were traveling. And I was like checking, like, oh, when are they announcing or whatever? And it's like
right.
So that even those new projects weren't necessarily being announced. At least not that I can remember. They were definitely being rumored, but they were announced here after that. So I think the sale just really helped. Matt Piscatella does point out a few things about like what these numbers say to him, and I think this is pretty accurate. He says that the PS5 is driving the console market in the United States. Big new games are selling very well, there's just not enough of them. Subscription spend growth is slowing, finally. This is the first time that's really started to happen. For a long time, it's been like, hey, we're still seeing growth through subscriptions, but that's starting to slow down. And that could be due to this other factor here, that the market is stabilizing. Expect mostly year-over-year single-digit percentage changes going forward. So it's like the things have sort of settled into place, and we're not going to see these big swings anymore, like from the pandemic or coming out of the pandemic. It's just going to be, no, this is what video games are. This is the kind of money video games can make now, and that audience is well established and isn't going anywhere, but they're also not attracting droves of new people either. And I think for this point of the console cycle that we're in with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of folks also that are just picking up a PS5 for whatever game, whether it's Hogwarts Legacy or whatever else, finally being able to get one, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to convince them to, all right, cool, sign up for the subscription now. I know you're not going to play anything online, but you'll get this whole library of games. And especially for a lot of folks that just joined, just got a console again for the first time in a while. And also, if you're getting an Xbox, I guess with the Xbox, it's a little bit different. But I think at this point, a lot of folks already have Game Pass if you already have an Xbox. And if sales of Xboxes aren't going up, then who are they selling Game Pass to?
I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what's happening. It has saturated that audience. Yeah. And I think that audience was excited for Game Pass, but that audience has purchase Game Pass, and either they're going in and out of it. Sometimes people are like, oh, this month I'm going to save on my budget, I'll cut back on a subscription, this $15 to Game Pass, I'm going to I'll bow out for now, I'll get back in later. But that's stabilized. That is people like who understand the product and have already come into it, going in and out, whatever. I think on the PlayStation side, they tried to rejigger the PlayStation Plus system, and that was only, well, I think PlayStation Plus Extra is a good deal and is very appealing. And I think, if I were looking to like get a bunch of games released on the PlayStation ecosystem, that's an easy choice for me. I think they have struggled, regardless of that, to convince the wider audience. I think there's just an audience of PlayStation gamers that we buy games. This is how we do it. PlayStation Plus Extra on top of PlayStation Plus isn't necessarily like going to cause a 25% increase in subscribers to PlayStation Plus. It's going to be that same audience that was already there before. So yeah, it's going to be slow and steady growth, I think, at least through the next year or so, unless another big game comes along and really pops things off, or maybe a couple of big games that can rival Hogwarts Legacy and Elden Ring, which, like, there's a couple that could, but it doesn't seem like there's any guarantees that that's going to happen.
Yeah. I agree with Matt that the PS5 is probably driving the console market, but Sony as a company doesn't, the way they're behaving lately, it doesn't feel like they're leading the market at all.
Yeah.
It constantly feels like they're trying to play themselves as an underdog when they are not in this scenario.
I think that they are they feel it from both sides, right? They are the leader, and I think that gives them a certain amount of confidence / hubris, arrogance. But and so they turn around and they look behind them at like what's happening at the rest of Sony, and that puts them in a position of like we actually still, regardless of our success, are kind of backed into a corner and need to be scratching at every possible way to be making money. And I think that makes it makes them a little bit more precarious than they should be as the market leader. Now, it's not some desperate scenario, and it's not like, oh, they're bound to implode here any moment. It's just like it explains some of what can maybe feel like erratic decision making when it comes to how they're going to treat the Activision acquisition or something like that. It's like, well, they really don't want that to happen because they need to like operate under a status quo that is everything's even, and they get up. I mean, the reality is Call of Duty is a bunch of free money for them. Someone else pays to make it. They release it on PlayStation. It sells most on PlayStation, and Sony gets 30% cut of every game sold and all the DLC and microtransactions sold. And that is, when you look at it on paper, from Sony's perspective, free money. And if that goes away suddenly, they are going to be significantly less profitable. Now, it's not going to go away, but they are still afraid of like what that's going to mean for negotiations with Microsoft and what they're going to have to give up 3-4 years down the line. And that stuff really matters to a Sony that really does not want to have wants every nickel and dime to go to them when it comes to PlayStation, or they want to get the next nickel and the next dime as well, because they don't have a lot of other businesses at Sony that are making money, and nothing close to the kind of money that PlayStation is making. He also, Matt Piscatella finishes up by saying, engagement is returning to pre-pandemic levels. So in terms of like how people are engaging with games and how much they're showing up to play, it's like, yeah, the people are starting to do other things as in addition to playing video games, whereas for years now, it was video games the primary source of entertainment for a lot of families.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with, I mean, even when we were traveling, a lot of folks just out. Universal was not empty at all.
Yep, that's right. It was very busy. It was spring break, and people were getting out there. And I think this is well timed for a Nintendo that is finally branching out with their. It took years. This has been a plan that's been in the process for a long time, but it's hitting at a time where it's really going to work out for them. We have a movie, we have a theme park, and you've spent the last several years buying Switches and playing Mario games, and now you can go express that in these ways that actually get you out of the house, something that you're more willing to do. It's like, wow, that was serendipitous for Nintendo. I think Sony has their own sort of serendipity where it's like people have been watching, TV is still a huge hobby for a lot of people, and having The Last of Us sort of matched up at that same time. But yeah, people are doing other things finally with their entertainment budget. And that is reflected in engagement returning to pre-pandemic levels, which again is not like some alarm bell. It's like, oh, this is just normalcy sort of returning. The other side of the MPD report, PlayStation 5 has caught up to PS4 sales in the US. This is just a big point from Matt Piscatella, which he pointed out on Twitter. He says video game hardware spending increased 10% when compared to March 2022, reaching $566 million. This is the second highest game spend for March, blah, blah, blah. Video game hardware spending increased 10% when compared to March 2022, reaching $566 million. I'm just saying the same thing again, my bad. PlayStation 5 hardware unit sales have now surpassed those of PlayStation 4 on a time-aligned basis, though. So 29 months on the market. The PlayStation 4 is here, and the PS5 is actually above it. And Jan, we talked about this a few months ago, where we're like, hey, PlayStation 5 availability is finally solved. People are able, the supply is working, the demand's still there, but the PS5 is behind the PS4. Do we think it's going to catch up? And you're like, I was like, by the end of the year, and you were like, this is going to happen really quickly. And here it is. It's already happened, and at least in the United States. I think the same thing's going to happen everywhere, but it's, the fact that it's happening so quickly, it's got to be well on its way to being the best-selling PlayStation ever eventually, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I'm looking now at StockX and Goat, which were the notorious reselling websites, and the price of PS5s has dramatically dropped. Like we around launch time, even during the pandemic or earlier parts of the pandemic, I should say, we would see PS5s going for upwards to $800. Now they're hovering around. Oh, this one's $420. Nice.
Sweet.
But yeah, these are close to like retail prices.
Yeah, I've heard that even
now.
some scalpers are now selling at a loss because they're just trying to they are struggling to sell their scalped PS5s. And it's like, it makes sense because you could just go to a store and get one with a store warranty and stuff. Like, why wouldn't you do that at this point? Because it's gonna be cost, and it's more convenient in a lot of ways, and you don't have to wait many times, or if you do have to wait, it's like 1 day shipping and it's free or whatever. So it's like all these benefits, and the scalpers are now out in the cold for the most part. So I think that's a sign that like you're looking at the switch has flipped, and here we are on this other side where people could just get a PlayStation 5, and that demand was not artificial. It was not
no.
Oh, we just can't find it, so I really want it. It's like, no, we really just want a PlayStation 5 because we want to play this game or that game. And I think the game that really kind of proved it was Hogwarts Legacy, where it's just like, everyone rushed out to get a PS5 for this game, a third-party game, but they just did the marketing right, and it's really hit its stride. And now they have Spider-Man 2 later this year. I guess that's the other side of this is, they had God of War late last year, but it hasn't been like nonstop first-party releases from PlayStation 5. I just think they've had enough so far that people who are deciding to jump in are like, there's enough to play. I think that's what's happening.
Honestly, I think you hit it right with marketing, and marketing not just for Hogwarts Legacy, where folks assume like I need a PS5 to play this, but like amongst my normie friends, I'll see them not bragging, but they'll post like, oh, game time, and it's like a PS5, and it'll always be a different game. It'll be a wide variety of stuff also that's third party. And I think maybe for the normie audience, and I apologize to my normie friends, but I think at least with this generation of consoles, PS5 has done a better job at marketing to a wider audience than Xbox. And I think maybe, hey, even I get hung up on what to call the current generation of Xboxes, because like Series X, right? We're on Series X, X and S, right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's just, I don't see any of those friends posting about having an Xbox. It's always about a PS5 when they talk about their game time, even if it's just Call of Duty, Kingdom Hearts, whatever else have you.
Yeah, I think the Xbox Series X and S have were like surprisingly successful among people like in our circles. They're like, hey, I actually really like playing my Xbox Series X. I don't think it's had much penetration beyond that. Just not so. I mean, and why would it? Because it went for so long without a big marquee game, and the games that it does associate with in terms of marketing, a lot of those were missteps, and the ones that were not, the ones that were unmitigated or were just clear successes were like Hi-Fi Rush, a game that came out of nowhere, had no marketing, and just was available on Game Pass, and people played it and loved it, but it did come and go. So it's like, okay, even when they have their hits, they're not really fully hitting it out of the park. So it's weird.
It's weird because, like, there's stuff like Hi-Fi Rush, there's stuff like Pentiment from last year, which unfortunately is a game that I think a lot of folks won't be able to play just because they don't want to pick up an Xbox, because there isn't enough in the Microsoft ecosystem right now for them to get to. And at least with PS5, and I think we talk about this every time a PS5 sales story comes up, but they have first party hitters.
Yes,
they have you can play Last of Us Part 1, Part 2,
Ratchet and Clank, yeah, like
the
Returnal?
Miles Morales,
Yeah.
Returnal, God of War,
God
of
of War.
course.
Yeah.
And hey, if you want to go dive deeper into that ecosystem, PSVR 2 is there. It's gonna stay there for a little bit. We'll see. But then with Xbox, it's just like, all right, cool. Halo Infinite.
Yeah, and it's
Eh.
yeah, and Halo Infinite has definitely it was a failure. It just is. It was supposed to make more money than it did, and it's not. It is a just failure. Period. And I think that stuff is beginning to, the bad apple spoils the bunch a little bit. That's starting to happen on Xbox a little bit, where people are kind of bummed out about their Xboxes, and then you go to the other side with PlayStation 5. Not to be like, we're not trying to be console warrior on. I think we're just trying to actually like.
I am.
Jan is. God, Jan's just the most toxic about this, guys. I try to like keep him in this box, but I can't do it.
Tribalism, baby.
The PlayStation 5, it's fashionable. Someone in the chat said it's a luxury item. I think it's a fashionable item too. Like it is.
Yeah.
Like it feels cool, and that stuff is not. Neither side, like PlayStation has done anything to sort of ruin that perception, and Xbox has not done anything to sort of put a dent in that perception. Games that are going to come to Xbox here pretty soon, Starfield, Redfall, let's say these things are as good as they possibly can be. Even in that situation, this is like, oh, these are maybe gamer ass games, and I'm going to love them probably if they're as good as they probably can be. But I don't think it's suddenly going to change this narrative all that much. So. Starfield could sell a lot if it's a big Bethesda game, though, and
folks have
make money.
Sorry, Grubb, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, folks have pointed this out in the chat also that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a major PS5 mover, and I know it's exclusive to the PS5 for a couple months, but those couple months are going to be significant. For PlayStation.
And it's Final Fantasy 7 Remake sold about 5 million, but I think Final Fantasy 16. The big next number, Final Fantasy 15 was actually pretty successful, but that was multi-platform. I think Final Fantasy 16 is set up to do way better than Final Fantasy Remake ever did.
Yeah.
So yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be. Sony also has a showcase due here soon, so they're gonna have a chance to reload, and we'll see what that looks like. Now, PSVR 2 was a bit of a misstep, but I don't think that's gonna. Again, that doesn't taint anything here. They could just point, hey, Spider-Man 2 is still coming, and then by the way, here's our showcase with everything else that you've been asking for, and a bunch of new stuff you didn't even know you wanted. And I think it's gonna the PlayStation 5. Yes, I think it's going to outsell the PS4.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Speaking of PlayStation, Humanity, available day one as a PlayStation Plus game catalog title, and it's due out May 16th. This comes from friend of the site, Mark McDonald, on the PlayStation blog. Move over International Pickle Day. May 16th has a new #1 claim to fame. It's the launch day for Humanity. Better yet, it'll be available on day one as part of the PlayStation Plus game catalog's May lineup. Available at no additional cost to PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium members. Whether you own a PS5 or PS4, or a PSVR 2 or PSVR or TV only gamer, and want to craft your own levels or just sit back and enjoy some action platforming and puzzle strategizing, this year, May 16th, is going to mean more than just National Piercing Day. I think I get what the bit Mark's going for. In Humanity, you control that glowing Shiba Inu, placing commands on the ground for a giant marching horde of people to follow, make them turn, jump, float through the air, swim, club, etc., all to reach the goal or goals in each stage. The game gradually introduces these mechanics and more, combining them with each other and new elements to ramp up the challenge the further you go. Curious to know more. They have a trailer and stuff, and they showed this off during State of Play. We've been interested in this game for a while now, and it's I'm like, oh, I was excited about it. And now it's like, oh, this is going to be one of those moments where it's going to come to PlayStation Plus, and it's going to have a real chance to get to that level of success immediately, which is very cool.
It's the Game Pass thing. It's starting to happen now with Sony.
Yeah, and they
I'm like, oh, if it's on PlayStation Plus, I guess I'll go check it out.
Yeah, and they I'll bring up the commercial, which is they're very they pointed out in the blog. Mark said it hey, we made a video commercials, and we want to show off the Shiba Inu, of course, but really we want to just be hey, this game is hella from Japan, and we love that we're making a game that feels like that. and we just want to be proud of that. And it just is totally working on me. I'm like, yes, this feels like an old Japanese video game commercial, which were just the best video game commercials. And that Shiba Inu is very, very cute, and they're going for it. So it's coming out day one. They did say, hey, why PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium? He said, of course, we want as many folks as possible to enjoy humanity's 90-plus stage single-player story mode, but the most exciting part of launching into PlayStation Plus game catalog is it guarantees a massive audience for our game's robust, user-generated content features. A ton of players will be out there creating, sharing, and playing each other's custom-built stages right from day one. I think you go. It's a smart move for a game like this, right?
Yeah, if only they had a game that heavily relied on user-generated content before. But that's a dream-like scenario, I guess.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. I mean, they've had success doing this with games before, like Rocket League is like the biggest example. Obviously, a game that just shot through the stratosphere. It succeeded simultaneously on Steam. Now, I think you could argue, well, that means it would have succeeded on its own, regardless of PS Plus. PS Plus, everyone playing it at the same time. That makes people actually want to go buy it, even if they don't have a PlayStation. They're going to go play it on Steam. So. Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
Oh god, I forgot my point just because I saw the Shiba Inu again. I
mean, listen,
I'm a sucker for 4x3. Inject 4x3 into my veins.
Yes, they have the second half of the commercial here. There's some 4x3 for you.
Forget 16:9, folks. Forget it.
We're bringing it back. 4x3's coming back. Oh, the dog's playing in virtual reality. Oh yeah, I think this game looks like so much fun. I love Enhance. I love Mark, and I know that Chris Johnston was working over there, helping them out a little bit and stuff from another old EGM guy. So yeah, let's check this game out when it comes out, Jan. I think we should hop in there.
I'm ready to finally feel human again.
Finally, humanity will be on the Giant Bomb website. Look out for that, everybody.
A bunch of pervs lately.
All right. Yesterday, there was a Nintendo Indie World showcase, and we got a roundup of what was in there. This comes from My Nintendo News. Nintendo debuted a new Indie World showcase, which featured a roster of more than 20 indie games coming to Nintendo Switch system in 2023 and beyond. Among the presentation's many highlights was the reveal of Blasphemous 2, along with the game's first trailer and launch reveal of summer 2023. The showcase also dropped the news that the slapstick RPG Shadows Over Loathing, which is chock full of mobsters, monsters, and mysteries, slinks its way over to the Nintendo Switch eShop later today, that being yesterday. Other highlighted games were Miniko's Night Market, the adventure sim about a curious girl exploring her lively new home at the base of Mount Fugu, which is launching on Nintendo Switch September 26th. Also the kind of farming sim adjacent My Time at Sandrock, which is a captivating sequel to My Time at Portia, and then relics of the Old Faith update for Cult of the Lamb, which is due out April 24th. I know you were kind of peeking in on this while me and Mike were talking over a little bit. Did you see anything that struck your fancy?
When I saw Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, I had to Google, this is coming out to other systems, right?
Yes, it
is.
is.
I don't want to play this on a Switch.
You know you did not. I'm assuming
I do not.
I assume it's probably not going to run great on Switch, and it's a game that you really want that silky 60, don't you? I do for that game. I want that Dreamcast feel of 60 frames per second. So, yeah.
I need that. I need that to be smooth. A couple of games I think I remember checking out from last year's Summer Game Fest. Animal Well, which you have marked here as, I guess, the donkey game.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. And yeah, that was fine. It was a little difficult to maneuver around, but given the short 10-minute window, it's a little bit difficult to demo a game. And I think they also had a little to the left there.
They did.
And I just wanna set Cupboard Gate and make this clear. You could say it cupboard or cupboard. A lot of people say cupboard.
Yes, they do. I do say cupboard. Yes. I've actually never heard anyone say cupboard though, and that's listen, Jen. This has always bothered me. I'm like, it is just spelled cupboard, and they want me to say cupboard. So I sympathize and I even empathize with your clipboard situation. All right, because
there you go.
I want to just call it a cupboard. I actually don't want it. I wanted them to come up with a whole new word for whatever. Cup shelf. That way there's no confusion. But
it's all right, Snowbike Mike. I have also pronounced it cupboard.
Beautiful. What's up, Mike?
The 90s movie Indian in the Cupboard sounds better when you say cupboard versus cupboard.
Indian in the cupboard. I like that.
I guess we could say cabinet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shelf. There.
Yes. Native American on the shelf. Oh boy. Okay. A couple other games from this. Rift of the Necrodancer, which is a Necrodancer game, but it's not like the same game gameplay as the previous Necrodancers. It is a sort of suite of rhythm games that included stuff that looked like Rhythm Heaven. There was some like Note Highway stuff a little bit, I think. But just like, it had a variety of things in there, and it looked like a lot of fun. There was one that looked like Punch Out, but with rhythm stuff, like music happening, and Punch Out kind of already is a rhythm game. I thought that looked pretty cool. Tesla Grad 2 looked neat. Oxenfree 2 looks like very promising. A Netflix published game, because they own that studio now. And then, yeah, you mentioned Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which I'm glad you remember the name, because even as I wrote it down here, it somehow just doesn't even register in my brain as words. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. We'll get to that eventually. All right. Atari acquires 100 classic franchises, including Bubsy. This comes from Chris Kerr at GameDeveloper.com. Atari has acquired more than 100 console and PC games from the 80s and 90s, including titles from the Bubsy, Hardball, Demolition Racer series. The company has also purchased the 1942 Pacific Air War, F-117A and F-117A and F-14 Air Combat franchises, and grabbed the trademarks for the Accolade and GTI brands. Atari said it plans to create more games based on its newly acquired franchises, explore branding and merchandising collaborations, and expand digital and physical distribution. Here's a quote. "This is a deep catalog that includes groundbreaking and award-winning titles from Accolade, Infogrames, and Microprose." That comes from Atari CEO Wade Rosen, who goes on to say, "Many of these titles are a part of Atari history, and fans can look forward to seeing many of these games re-released in physical and digital formats, and in some cases even ported to modern consoles." And I say no! Jan, I say no, we draw the line here!
No. This is the real reason why capitalism is bad.
Yes! We cannot have incentives for bringing Bubsy anywhere. Keep him in his hole.
Other than paying the voice actress for Bubsy to record fun lines, right, I do not condone anyone making money off of Bubsy.
No, it's something must be done. We must pass laws. This is it's vile, and I do not.
We will go to the courthouse and face dumb questions from our government officials.
Yes,
to help ban Bubsy.
That's right. We'll get our representatives to lobby the Japanese government to pass a law and be like, "Hey, Sony, you can't do that." And also, Bubsy's illegal now. Finally, video games are the #1 priority of our lawmakers. The CEO has previously said, "Hey, we want to do this sort of thing, take classic franchises and capitalize on that and do new stuff with those things." And that's one of the reasons they acquired Night Dive recently. Night Dive, a studio that's done a lot of really great remasters of 90s boomer shooters. And Night Dive since then has gone on to say, "Yeah, we're going to keep doing that stuff, and we're going to do even more." Because that's what Atari wants. And now they have a lot of brands to work with. I suppose, now I know this is going to go back on everything I just said, that a Night Dive remaster of Bubsy 3D, where they change the controls to be more like Mario 64, I would be sort of morbidly curious to see what that's like.
You don't want that, Grubb. You don't want that. You don't actually want that, because everything else is still there. Even if it controls better,
music and
the rest of the game is still there.
And also there's a real chance that if that happens, I'm going to be back in a feature playing that game again. And I just can't have that, Jan. I just can't do it. I can't go back.
We cannot manifest Jeffafest this.
Please stop Jeffafesting things, everybody, please. All right, moving on. Epic acquires Aquiris and forms Epic Games Brasil. This comes from Jeffrey Rousseau at GamesIndustry.biz. Shout out to Jeffrey. Epic Games has acquired mobile game developer Aquiris and establishes Epic Games Brasil. The game maker is the first Latin American subsidiary to join Epic. Based out of Brazil, the studio was founded in 2007 by Hamilton Diesel, Mauricio Longoni and Israel Mendez. Aquiris has launched titles such as Wonderbox, Horizon Chase 2, and Looney Tunes World of Mayhem, which the studio will continue to operate. Horizon Chase 2 is that sort of outrun-like game that I think has always looked pretty cool, and I think I had some fun when I tried it. The news comes a year after Epic announced that it would invest in the studio for an undisclosed amount. Here's a quote. "We are delighted to leverage our experience using Unreal Engine on game development to contribute to the future of Fortnite. Aquiris has been on the forefront of game development in Brazil and Latin America, and becoming part of Epic Games will spotlight our region's developers for the entire industry." That was Aquiris CEO Mauricio Longoni. This is an increasing trend, Jan, where Latin Americans, South American, that region has a growing development scene. There are a lot of developers. There's a lot of colleges that are doing very good educational programs about game development, and like the Brazilian game show, Brazilian indie game show, Big, is like a really big thing, and it's drawn a lot of attention to, like, oh, there's a lot of talent here. That has mostly come in the form of support studios, where these big developers are like, hey, there are to put it bluntly, there's cheap labor in these countries that still have emerging game development markets, and we can exploit that. And I think this is maybe a little bit of a shift where I think they come out and say we are going to be helping with Fortnite. So it's still a support studio, but this is Epic, not just like hiring them on contract. It's investing in them and fully taking them over, saying that that's how valuable this is to us. And I think that's going to be an increasing trend now as well, where all these big corporations that have looked to Mexico, Brazil, and a few of these other countries that do have these growing development scenes are going to begin saying, we can't just kind of keep them on the end of a hook. We got to actually bring them into the fold, and give them their pay.
Yeah, I can see that becoming a growing thing happening across all these different emerging markets. And the cycle that I hope could follow is that, say that these studios start to take on bigger projects, that they start to have like bigger leads, and then those leads can take the paydays that they have gone from being part of Epic and spin off into smaller studios, so they can just continue making more and more games across these growing markets, that they just become full on game dev places.
Yep, I think that's this is exactly the start of that process too. I think, where it's, hey, you guys get paid now, work with Epic for a while, and then eventually take that money, start some new studios, and then exponentially grow the scene there, and then bring Brazilian culture into Fortnite, like actually do something so you could express yourself within a major platform like that, and then move on to make games on your own that that are representative of where you come from. That's the ideal scenario here, and hopefully that's how it works out.
It's wishful thinking for sure, and I can see all the cynicists popping up and being like, they are cheap labor. And the reality is, yes, they are cheap labor, but those studios are being invested in. And hey, those studios, they can take those lessons learned. They'll gain the familiarity with the tools and how to build stuff for Fortnite. And you're right, they can inject their own culture into Fortnite, or start to be able to take those talents elsewhere once they've developed like the skill set and whatnot.
Yep. And it's like, I mean, this is the system that we're in, and it's and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. So if we're going to be within this system, one of the ways that you increase the amount of pay that you can get is by selling a studio, and that says, people are going there and they're buying things, so I got to go there and compete now, and that creates more bids and a chance that the next studio is going to be worth even more. And that's just how this works. So this is, it's not, none of these things are like a quote unquote good thing, but it's also not a bad thing. It's just the way it works. And in the end, people in this region they've invested in their education system for video game development, and now that's paying off in jobs, and it's paying off in exits that are probably worth a significant amount of money. And that's the process slowly working.
I want to celebrate Carnival in Fortnite so I can celebrate Carnival with Ariana Grande and Naruto.
I was literally thinking the same thing. How fucking wild would Carnival be in Fortnite? It would almost be as wild as the real thing. Almost. All right, moving along here. Xbox set to attend at Downing Street event on UK Activision deal deadline day. This is a quick one from Tom Ivan at VGC. We got a couple from Tom. Basically, Microsoft is going to participate in a games industry event at 10 Downing Street, which is I think it's basically the headquarters of the Prime Minister of the UK. Listen, I don't pay attention to this shit. I think that's right. So they're going to go show a bunch of video games to people at 10 Downing Street, and Microsoft's going to be there. And that same day,
Cool.
the CMA is going to be like, "Hey, we're deciding the fate of the $69 billion acquisition of Microsoft to Activision." And it's like, okay, so that's interesting timing, I guess. But also, I think it might show that Microsoft has only strengthened its relationships and bonds with the people in the UK, with the people that like sort of run these things in the UK. And it almost, who knows, but to me, it almost signifies that they are feeling very confident about the deal, and that the deal's going to get approved that day. And they're going to be like, and here's a bunch of our games, and here's how many that are made in your regions. Here's how many people we employ, and here's why this is nothing but a good thing. And you can feel really good about this. It's almost like a built-in counter to any negative headlines that might come from like CMA improves biggest deal in video game history as consolidation increases. Microsoft's right there to be like, and here's why that's a good thing for the UK. So it may be pretty clever timing on their part, or maybe just coincidence. Who knows?
I can't wait for the ghost of Winston Churchill to inadvertently see Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I think he would really like it. I think it'd make him really happy. Like he's just a huge Halo Infinite fan. Absolutely.
You could tell he'd love Forge. He would love Forge.
Yeah, he would make some wild stuff. But just like the most epic tea time level, I'm sure. Someone in the chat pointed out that someone shared. Jason Schreier posted a tweet about new DLC coming to the Case of the Golden Idol, and I'm down for that. So there you go. There's a little news bit. And the screenshot that he posted, I guess this is a PR blast. I haven't checked my email to see if it's in there. It looks very good. Looks like there's some like devil dude. I'm like, I got to see that. So DLC likely coming to Case of the Golden Idol, and I'm gonna
April 27th next week.
Oh, okay, next week. So a week from today.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be checking in on that. Fantastic. All right. Other quick stories here. PlayStation has significantly increased Steam game prices in some countries. This is another one from Tom Ivan at VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment has significantly increased its game prices on Steam in some countries, as first spotted by Reset Era user Chairman Chuck. The prices of Sackboy: A Big Adventure and Returnal have been increased this week in countries including Argentina, Canada, Chile, China, Colombia, Japan, and South Korea. VGC has verified these prices using SteamDB and found that other PlayStation titles, including God of War and Spider-Man Remastered, have received similar price increases. The increases vary by country and title. In Canada, the prices of all 4 games have been up by $10, representing a 14.5 to 17% increase based on their starting price. In Sony's home country of Japan, the prices of games have risen by approximately 29% to 32.5%. But it's Argentina, get fucked Christian, appears to be by far the most heavily affected by the price increases. God of War's price has more than doubled this week from 4,199 pesos to 8,499 pesos. The cost of Spider-Man Remastered has also doubled, while the prices of Sackboy and Returnal have risen by 2/3, 67%. VGC asked Sony for a comment. No comment. I think this is this is just publishers like Sony trying to feel out what is still a relatively volatile global market in terms of exchange rates, which are still all over the place and jumping around all the time. I think they also we can continue, we haven't finished getting away with, we haven't finished exploiting what we know we can get away with. We know we could charge more and people will still buy these games for the most part. But I think this is probably going to be pretty normal for a while, and I don't think these prices are going to come back down. I don't know. What do you think, Jan?
No, it seems like it is always significantly easier to raise prices ever so slightly without folks noticing than it is to all right, sorry, we're just going to bring it back down, because then folks will be not fine, but begrudgingly spend that money, and then it's just hard to convince them to spend less money.
Yeah, it's
sorry, Christian.
Sorry, Christian. Yeah, he already knows. I'm sure that he's got many ways of dealing with this, including people pointing out CD keys. I think I honestly don't know how easy it is to. I imagine it's probably pretty simple to like, hey, I'm gonna go to a different store that services a different country, and maybe I can get a deal by doing a little bit of arbitrage here and buying it here, and now I've spent less of my money in my own currency or whatever. But for the most part, I think probably the vast majority of people are just going the simplest path, and that means going to Steam, opening it up, buying, hitting the buy button right there, and whatever it costs, well, that's what it costs. And although that's not going to stop people from shouting a little bit, I know that Canada has always had, for many years now, very high prices. Australia, and people, always kind of like holler about this, and it doesn't change, and it kind of only seems to keep going up. So it's like kind of no hope really that it's going to return back down to a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Final story here. Blizzard is teasing a secret announcement for today's Diablo 4 live stream. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC one more time. Blizzard is teasing a mystery announcement set to be made during a Diablo 4 live stream on Thursday. This 90-minute developer presentation, which begins at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern, will feature in-game details and beta learnings on classes and dungeons. Seemingly hinting at a special announcement as well, Diablo franchise general manager Rod Ferguson tweeted about the event and said, "Is this the one with the secret announcement, or are we not talking about that yet? I would hate to give it away." It's like, yes,
cheeky.
Yeah, very, very, coy there. I wonder what they could be alluding to. Some fans are speculating that a second Diablo 4 beta could be on the cards. Quote, tweeting a fan's request for more Diablo 4 game time, the official Diablo Twitter account said that can be arranged. And then I saw Mikey Barra did the eyes emoji reply to that. So I think that's probably the big secret announcement is, hey, another probably open beta happening here very soon, so everyone can hop in there again. And that wouldn't be too surprising. Diablo 4 seems like it's well on its way to being a very big game for Activision and Blizzard. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope to actually be able to get in this time. I forget if we were traveling. Oh, no, I don't think we're actually traveling, but I think just the cards isn't in a line to try and hop into this original Diablo 4 beta. I think they're just adding weed.
Yeah, they should just add weed.
Yeah. I think that's all they're doing.
It should be like that 70s show where all the people in your group sit around a campfire and the camera just pans to each just saying dumb shit, and then you don't actually see anybody smoking, but there's a lot of smoke in the background. I think that's what they should do. More games should have the references to that 70s show. That's timely.
Yes. Eric Foreman, Red Foreman, Donna,
yeah, Fez. Everyone loves
Kelso.
Which one's the bad one?
He's the one with the curly hair.
Yeah, no one even knows what that character's named. He can go to hell.
My selective blindness is kicking in, and now I'm just thinking of Mila Kunis, which is
Yeah, hey, that's always good to think
Kunis.
about Mila. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see here. I got the poll from yesterday. I'm going to bring that up right now. Is Sega moving in the right direction, or is it on the wrong track? This is the latest one, right? This is April 17th. Nope, that's not right. Let me see here. Did I do a Game Mess Morning thing for this? I might have missed it. I might not put the tag in the last one. I'll get it up here. Let me find it just a second, everybody. While I'm doing that, Jam, why don't you tell people what they can find on Giant Bomb for the rest of the week?
What they can find on Giant Bomb for the rest of the week, we have a quick look dropping later tonight due to odd embargoes. Grab, I gotta get them. We all immediately following this, if you're watching live, we'll have another episode of Blight Club, Telkoto Cop. And then tomorrow, UPF will probably be checking out Dead Island 2 together. A bunch of us. Hopefully we all download the game this time, so it's not just me playing a co-op game.
Did you figure out an Xbox situation? Because if not, I'll get you a PC code.
I may need to get a PC code.
I'll get you a PC code. We'll get you a PC code.
Also, folks, I'm trying to edit all the stuff.
It's a lot.
We're gonna get the WrestleMania vid. That's easier. That's a little bit of an easier lift. We're gonna the Nintendo or they know we went there by now. The Nintendo World videos are gonna come out. Don't worry. I need y'all to see Buca de Beppo. Also, what's it called? Voicemail dump truck later today. Our homies at Fandom are also going to be. I think they're going to be talking over the Street Fighter event for Capcom, and they're going to give PS5 codes away for RE4 Remake. The fandom homies being Emma and Bailey. Let me tell you, I checked out Bailey playing Nancy Drew yesterday.
It's a good time, isn't it?
Those games are near. I can't decipher them at all.
Oh no, it's a whole other language.
It is a completely different language. Meanwhile, Homegirl is just clickety clacking around. I'm like, oh,
yep,
wow,
just straight up solving it, like understanding what's happening, and I'm like, nope, don't know what's going on. This doesn't make any sense to me. Completely indecipherable. Yeah, those are fun streams. They do a good job. They're and they're doing great stuff over there. You guys should definitely tune in for that. All right, I have the poll from yesterday. I found it. I did not put Game Mess Mornings in there. I gotta remember to do that. How are you feeling about 7 out of 10 games right now?
Ooh,
yeah, a lot of responses here.
Good poll.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm like, I want to see what people are thinking. Most people in responses were like, I don't care about scores. I'm like, guys, I don't mean like someone stamped an official 7 out of 10 for games that you think are 7 out of 10. I got short with them, Jan. I got pretty short. I was curt. All right, the responses. I always play them. That was only 15.7%. 18.5% said I don't have time for 7 out of 10s. 29.1% said I play them when they come to Game Pass or a similar service. And 36.7%, the largest group, said I play them after a discount, which I think is probably the right way to approach it. That's probably the right thing to do, right?
I think that is very telling for what a 7 out of 10 game is, where it's like, oh, that's cool. I'll just wait.
Yeah, yes, that looks like it could be fun. Oh, it's $70. Okay, see you in a month. See you in 2 months. I'll see you in the summer, whatever. Black Friday, I'll pick it up then. Like, it's very easy to begin sort of bargaining with yourself, and when you get that, like, it looks good, but I don't have the need to play it immediately. And then at that point, you're like, well, then at what price would I be like? Would I feel good about it? And it's like, that's fine. For most publishers, they understand that, and they're eventually going to put the price down. You know, if it's a Nintendo game, you got to just buy it.
Oh yeah, unless it's a Nintendo game. It's such a weird cycle now, because I feel like I fall into the same cycle with movies, where it's like, I could go see this in the theater, and I'm sure it'd be a great experience, but I could probably stream it in like 2 months.
Yes, I've done the same thing recently. That's what I did with Creed 3, and it was very fast to get to home video.
Oh, even though it made a lot of money. Already out on home video? Ah, shoot.
I think so.
Okay.
I still haven't actually watched it. I thought it was. I think you can get it on like the on-demand services. I think you can get it on VOD.
Oh man. Okay. I gotta
watch it, Dan. I'm gonna watch it.
I gotta find a theater still showing Creed 3, and then I gotta watch John Wick 4.
Oh yeah, the John Wick 4 is the other one that everyone is like. I think I've gone on record. I don't love John Wick. I think they're fine, but I get kind of bored with them for some reason. I think I don't care about the characters as much, so I don't care about the action as much. I think John Wick 4 sounds like they have the action is so good that none of that's going to matter. And I think they figured it out. I bet that's the real good one.
Dan_City in the chat says John Wick 4 is overrated, but still really good. That's a fantastic way to describe a movie.
Yes. I think, you know what, games are there too, where it's like we can have those nuanced, like, hey, yeah, it's not that, but it's still very good, and you should play it. Which honestly, how I feel about Dead Island 2. It's that is nothing special. It's a really good time. It's a really good time being nothing special.
Evil West last year.
Right, the B games might be starting to come back, and I hope they can find their footing. I think Dead Island 2 might be the best Embracer Group game, which is something. That's something to be said.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. It was an Embracer joint.
Yeah, we did not. That quick look will be going up tonight, everybody. There's just a video, like the review embargo's up, but like the video embargo, it's not a review, and we're gonna obey that. That's tonight, so look out for that. All right, the new poll here. Will PlayStation 5 outsell the PlayStation 4? It's kind of off there a little bit. You can't really see it. My bad. Choice is yes or no. I'm posting this right now. There you go. Actually, let's hit that. There you go. Now you can see it. All right, Jan, we talked about what's happening on Giant Bomb. We'll talk about this poll tomorrow here, same time. I think I'll have Mikey on because our boy Tam is busy. In the meantime, though, Jan, thank you so much for spending time with me talking about video games. I really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it. Highlight of my Thursday, and I need everyone to. No, I'm not going to tell everyone to get high this Thursday.
Get high in the whole house.
That's right. That's right.
Till next
time.
Get your
booze ready. Get your booze ready
You're
for
the best
Tokyo
audience of
Cop.
gaming. Yeah, that's right. We're going. Tocopto. Here we go. We got a million names for this feature. Until next time, you're the best audience in gaming. Have a good one. Take care of yourself. And goodbye. And get high.
There you go. Grubb said it for me.